It's been about a whole month since I posted my last video, and while I wish I could tell you it's been a month full of success, I would definitely be lying. It's been more like a month full of disruptions. In this video, I'll get you caught up on what the last 30 days have been like, but mainly I want to focus on something I've been thinking about lately, and that is, what do the law and the gospel have to do with weight loss? Let's get into it. For about the first half of the month of February, my family was busy fighting the flu and ear infections. I got the flu first because I'm a good leader of my home, and then as I started to get better, I lovingly gave it to my wife. After that, it was sort of a slow domino effect of one kid getting it after another. And as soon as they started to get better, they would get an ear infection. So it was a good few weeks of my family being sick, not sleeping well, being very tired. So needless to say, all of our family routines were in total disarray. Now I'm happy to say that at this point, we're finally healthy and getting back into some good family routines. As you can imagine, fighting off illness for a few weeks and then trying to get caught back up with life the next few weeks definitely threw a wrench in my workout and eating plans. But I am happy to say that I didn't just totally fall off the wagon. The first week when I was sick, of course, I didn't work out at all that week. And then over the next few weeks, I was still able to get in a few workouts here and there. And for the most part, I was still able to make good food choices. So at the moment, I weigh 315 pounds and my smart scale says that I have increased in my muscle mass. I've noticed that my clothes are starting to fit better, and I've even lost a few inches around my midsection. If I'm being honest, it was definitely a difficult month that was full of several moments that were discouraging and disappointing. One morning I was talking to my wife and I was telling her, it's a little disappointing to me that my clothes are fitting better, I've lost a few inches, but really it doesn't seem like anybody has noticed. After I said that out loud to my wife, I started wondering what is going on with me.
Why are you the way that you are?
After all, that's not supposed to be the reason why I'm doing this. And then I started to notice that there's this temptation in me to make sure that other people know that I'm working out now and I'm eating better. Not really because anyone needs to know that, but just because it would make me feel good. I even noticed that exercising and eating better was starting to give me a sense of righteousness, almost like I'm better than other people who are not doing this. That's ridiculous. I know it is. And that's why I want to talk to you about how fitness can be a religion. I sat with this realization of this sense of righteousness and superiority that exercise and dieting were giving me. I realized that it was kind of like my identity is being caught up in eating better and working out. You know, the old saying, you are what you eat. And it was like that was becoming true, that I am my diet and I am my exercise. So then if I don't follow my diet perfectly and I don't exercise as much as I'm supposed to, I start to lose my sense of self, or my sense of superiority, my sense of righteousness. And I think that if we're honest, a lot of people think this way. You need only check out social media to see if this is true or not. And what you'll find is that the fitness industry is kind of like a religion. There's a dogma, there's an orthodoxy, there's a right way, there's a wrong way. You have people who are saying, what you've been told about exercise all your life is totally wrong. This is the right way. And then there are other people saying, what you've been told about diet is totally wrong. Here's the right way. Here's the orthodoxy that you need to believe. And look, some of that information that's out there is true and helpful, but it can also give you a sense of righteousness when you decide that you have found a fitness teacher and they are preaching the truth about diet and exercise. What happens next is that you start to have a real sense of self-righteousness and superiority. Anybody who doesn't eat the way that you think is right, well, they're lost and they're in the dark. Anybody who doesn't exercise the way that you think they should, well, they're lost. And so you look at other people who would dare eat a slice of pizza or something and say, do you even know what kind of poison you're putting into your body? Do you even care about the ramifications that this is going to have on your health? And you're saying this without remembering the fact that you didn't care about any of this just a few weeks ago. As a matter of fact, how much of your life did you spend not caring about what you put into your body or caring about exercise? But there's another thing that can happen there that I think happens all the time, and that is that since there's an orthodoxy and a right way of doing it, and since you're getting a sense of righteousness from this path you've chosen, since you've wrapped up your identity in this health journey, then your sense of joy and accomplishment rise and fall with your ability to adhere to the dogma. What I mean is that if you have a bad meal or you miss a workout for whatever reason, there's a sense of condemnation that falls on you. You start to feel like a failure, like you're just never going to be able to do this. You can't believe it. You beat yourself up a lot, and you start to feel a lot less righteous. Now, I want to make sure to clarify it. It's a good thing to eat better. It's a good thing to exercise. It's even a good thing to try really hard to eat better and to exercise. But I think we also really need to be aware of how easy it is to turn a good thing into a God thing, where we're seeking our sense of identity, our sense of righteousness, our sense of joy from these decisions about what we put in our body. And I just realized that as a Christian, there's really not any room for me to think that way. Not only is there not any room for me to think that way, but it's not necessary because there is a better way. The better way is the way of grace. One of the ways that grace is often misunderstood today is that grace means I have a license to sin. Or in this case, grace means that it's okay for me to just eat whatever I want and I don't really have to worry about working out. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Grace doesn't give me a license to sin. Grace does give me the help that I need when I inevitably fail and falter. I'll admit, I never really thought this way about health and fitness. I realize now that I always looked at eating better and exercise through a really legalistic lens. Whenever I would fail, I'd feel terrible about myself. I'm this failure. I might as well just give up entirely. But whenever I step back and I look at stewarding my health through the lens of grace, I'm reminded that I have now the help I need whenever I do fail or whenever I have a hard month like I just did this past month. So grace doesn't give me a license to sin. Grace gives me the ability to overcome my sin. Instead of saying, I have grace, I can just eat what I want and live how I want, I can say, I've been saved by grace. Now I want that grace to shape me. And in this case, I want grace to shape the way that I think about stewarding my body. Because of the grace of God, I don't have to tie up my identity with eating better and working out. I want to do those things, but they're not who I am. Instead, the scriptures tell me that my identity is hidden in Christ, far away from all of my failings. And it's only whenever I live and think this way about eating better and exercising that I'm really able to live with endurance, which is what this channel is all about. I'm not telling you that you have to believe in Christ in order to be healthy. That's obviously not true. But what I am telling you is that if you're noticing that diet and exercise have become a source of stress, shame, and superiority, then that's worth examining. For me, the only thing that has been able to free me from that cycle has been to know and remember that my worth and my identity are not on the scale. Well, that's it for today. Before you leave, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel so that you can keep up with the Stewardship Project. And if you've ever felt this tension between your discipline being tied up with your identity, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear about how you navigated that. All right, we'll see you next time.